Welcome to Family Business Diaries, the podcast where we unravel the secrets of family businesses. I'm your host, Mary Asantia Samoa, and today we have a very special guest with us, our first family business founder, who happens to be my father and my boss, Mr. Henry Tabi. Henry Tabi is the founder of the Barbex Group. For over 30 years, Mr. Tabi has grown and evolved his business to stand the test of time. Henry has a diploma in civil engineering from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and has participated in a number of executive development programs abroad. He's a father of 3 and a grandfather of 4. Happy to have you join us on the show, Mr. Tabi. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's get talking. Yeah? You good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, can you take us back to the beginning? I want to understand, how it all started, how you started your family business.
Thanks for asking, for inviting me. I'd been working with TSEC, which is the old Taylor Woodrow company from the UK. And I got to the point of being responsible for business development. That's looking for business for the company. And at the time, I think this was the time when surface mining being introduced into Ghana. We had moved from the deep shaft mining owned by the state and being mining industry going private. And so we had this new, call it technology or method of mining, faster to develop a mine if it's a surface mine. And so I was focused on that business, developing relationships with the companies that were coming into Ghana to develop the surface mines. Somewhere along the line, Taylor Woodrow International and the head office in the UK gave us instructions to pull back because I think we were being flagged for expanding. The company was being flagged for expanding too rapidly, so they were to pull back. But I had developed these contacts for the new mining ventures in Ghana and asked to stay on. And so I had an arrangement whereby I stayed on a separate contract for a period. And then I went ahead, I took the risk of deciding to continue with the mining side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you decided to continue what your company had started.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. So what were your initial plans? What was the vision when you set out to start Barbex? Well,
it was a sort of a jump into it because it was a matter of deciding whether to continue to look after those companies, service companies, because this was the beginning. So we're talking about exploration companies, drilling companies, laboratories. They were the forefront of starting these new mining ventures. So you had to make the decision to go for it or not, because they needed people to continue the service I was providing them, which is basically liaison with government agencies, regulatory organizations, and in fact, even starting new ones because of the demands of the job. For example, the Minerals Commission was created out of that because we had to make a case for exemption for the services that we were providing because we didn't have labs here. We had to send them out. There were no drilling companies. They all came from outside, but their consumables needed to be duty exempt.
Okay, it's been like 33 years to be exact, right?
Yeah.
So how has the vision evolved over the years? I mean, this is how you started. We're talking 2023. How has that vision evolved?
Okay, well, the first stage is, as I said, I mean, it ran parallel with the mine development, which is that the forefront was drilling exploration. So you have drilling companies and consultants, geologists. Then we went into developing the infrastructure for the mines, which meant that there were opportunities for road construction, building construction. I stayed, well, Woodrow wasn't interested in that. It was interested in the mining, the contract mining, which was a new thing altogether. But they had equipment outside that were available to mobilize into Ghana. So as we went along, you had choices to make. I looked at the consumable side because of its long life business, as opposed to the infrastructure ones. So by the time the metallurgists were on the ground, doing lab tests and so on, I stayed with that group, and then the supply of raw materials, reagents for the process plants.
Okay.
So that because that then established Barbex as providing a long-term service to the industry.
I think we've done a good job still doing that, right? Offering value-driven supply chain solutions. So well done. All right. So when you started, or over the years, did you think of establishing a family business? Did you think that's what you were doing, or you just,
No, I didn't think of it that way, actually. It was purely a dedication to provide a reliable service for the companies that I worked for. So, I just focused on that and picked up people along the way to work with me. And that's it. So it just kept going, driven by the demands rather than, a strategy on my part. It's because it started to open the mines very quickly. Obviously, Ashanti Goldfields first. The expansion, the change from deep shaft mining, or underground mining, to surface to heap leach. Even with the surface, there were different methods, the heap leach, and then the CIL circuits, CIL plants. So all this kept us so busy, and there was no time to think. And each time there's a demand for some service, such as labor or human resource supply, all of that.
So at what point did you have family involved in your business?
How did it happen? I think for a short period, my brother worked with me because he had come back from Nigeria. And so he looked after the Accra office, from where we handled all of the shipping and services, like even meeting the principals as they come in, visa application, that sort of thing. All that was part of our administration in Accra. But I spent most of my time on the mines because obviously that's where I started from. And so I spent more time on the mines, each mine, either on my own, following up on work that we are doing, or accompanying principals who are visiting.
So your brother joined. Sadly, he passed away, and then your children joined at a point.
Yeah, well, so I was alone until, working with employees for quite some time, up to about 2007, 2008. There was need to, change things a bit. We were growing very fast, and I needed some positions filled, and daughter was around,
It's okay, it's me, you can say it.
and that's how the family angle came in. And then there was a time for restructuring too. So that sort of made it necessary to look at all of that to reduce our costs, overhead costs. So rather than hire people, decided to do it this way with family, and then using advisory services from professionals instead of having them full-time on our books.
So I think, is it safe to say that maybe it was the timing? I mean, there were several factors that came into play that had me here at the time, and of course, you had the need, so everything worked out. Or was there a plan on your side to get me here?
No. I mean, the truth, there wasn't a plan like that. I mean, there wasn't.
Okay. Are you sure?
It's
All right.
just, the arrival was just the right time, as we said. We're trying to downsize Accra office, use less of hired people, and so that was it.
Okay. So what has it been? I mean, what's the experience been like working with your children? Because you have two of us in the business. What has it been like working with your children?
Well, most of it hasn't depended on me because it seems to me, when, on reflection, you can see that the business is driven by the customers, that's the mining companies, and they are a strong influence because they have systems in place which force a vendor into their mold. You work at the same pace. And also, some of the principals we work for also are very big companies with systems, and so they impose their systems or inculcate you into that. And I think it's been one blessing we have in Barbex that we've worked with so many big companies. It's helped us to adopt maybe world-class systems and certification and all that. It's been driven by them, by the customers and the principals.
That's true. But now I want to bring it down to the family. Are there written rules? Are there unwritten rules? How does it work in the office? Father, daughter, son, or boss, GM? Like, what are the rules?
No, I think without drawing lines, boxes and all that, we have respected that relationship. That is informal environments. We've tried to stick to what should be done formally. I remember one of our auditors pointed out, in a meeting or a discussion, that he was asking about procedures that we follow for certain things, and I mentioned a name, and he said, "No, don't bring in names. It's the position and the role, and that's all that matters." So we've adopted it unconsciously that we go by that. And I think that's a good thing. Outside working hours, the relationship sometimes comes in, obviously, but there's respect for the rules. So I think we are good in that respect.
We're good now.
No, okay.
But it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't so easy in the beginning, right?
It's the transition. It's the transition of people accepting family members into the business. Now we've done a full changeover. Now, anybody we recruit now will know that this is the setup. So we make a choice or a decision based on that. whereas the other people felt that they had worked for a while and other people are coming in.
I mean, I remember when I came in, just around the same time, business challenges, all of that, right? So it was a very rough period, right? Did you worry? Did you have did you second guess yourself and all of that, because it was rough getting others to accept me was kind of a challenge. I had to prove myself to others, and for you sitting at the back, like, how did you feel?
Well, I mean, I knew you could survive.
No, you did.
But I think it was, being the first case, it was important to prove yourself to other people because we had other workers, not just the Accra office. So it was important for your own benefit to prove yourself so that there will be acceptance. That it's not just because family, but and since then I've read about other companies and found that most companies that have lasted long and are still working, it's because they try to they ensure that family members joining prove themselves for the positions that they hold.
Okay.
So it's a good way to do it.
Thank you for this information. All right. So, one of the key challenges I believe in Ghana when it comes to family business is succession planning, right? There's always a gap. And then when the founder passes away, everything just falls apart. So, in your case, I just want to find out, how are you preparing for the future? What are your plans, succession planning? Talk to me about that from your point of view.
I think it's when you leave a gap, it is disastrous for the company itself because the market that you operate in, they probably look at the founder as the person that they know. And so it's very important to introduce your succession plan, implementing it gradually. Like people don't show up because you have ceased work, like you are no longer able to work to play your role, then suddenly a new face. Because it takes time to know the business. It takes time to know the people we have related to, the companies even. And it's good to introduce those who will be taking over as early as possible, so they have long periods of familiarization. It's not just a name, but they get to know the people. And also, as a founder, you have to realize that the shares that you hold, it affects your estate as well. It's part of your estate planning that you have to do this. So it's not like you should have a will separate and then the company is just left hanging. You've got to integrate the two and come up with a plan, which you should start to implement long before it's needed. So any adjustments or amendments to clauses can be effected long before it's needed. And also, again, it's educative. It allows for assimilation, and continuity, both on the staff side and the market, the customer side as well.
Okay. So you've had we've worked together for how long? So like 15 years, right? Yeah. Okay. But aside from just having people in place and all, do you believe that these things should be documented, that side of it? So it's not just...
Yeah, definitely. That's why I say It's partly your estate. So as you do it, you should be writing your will, basically. Because if you're a founder, chances are your assets will have a lot to do with the business. And so you have to address that, the legal side, the accounting side, corporate issues should be addressed now. And but your will and the governance side of the business go together.
But you know that on this side, I mean, for us, we somehow it is said that the Africans, we don't like talking about such things, will, estate planning, all of that. So let me put you on the spot. Have you started working on this?
No, what you said is, I think, is the choice of words.
Okay.
Because if you approach it on the basis of death, then that's where people think they should, they are reluctant to discuss.
Continuity.
But what is the word? It's being unable to continue to function.
Or retirement.
Yeah. So, once you want to leave the position, the role and all that, that's when it starts. It's not death.
No, it shouldn't be.
But as you say, in our society, usually the thought goes around the issue of death. When you die, what happens? But actually, it is to free you from your role. Yeah, free to carry on doing things. And for some people, depending on the profession we are talking about, nature of business and all that, there's continuity, except that they're working at a more relaxed pace. So somebody must act. You don't need a checkbook being brought to you at home every time and all that. So that's why it's one of the reasons you need to do it. But they don't stop working as such, because if he's an artist, he'll probably continue doing that, or a poet or whatever. So it depends on the nature of business and your style, and whether you are working or you are that's toiling as opposed to
from a place of rest.
Yeah, that you're doing something you like. I mean, you don't stop, but you must set up the transition arrangements.
So between yourself and your other founder friends and all, do you think maybe in Ghana we need more education on this? Because like you said, maybe it's the choice of words, it's how we approach these things. That's why some people are reluctant to even talk about succession planning. But if we talk continuity, would that help? So do you think we need more education?
I think so, definitely. I've thought about it in many ways, and I feel emboldened to talk about it because of one or two people that I met who not explain, but tell you more about what pertains in the world, mentioning names of companies or company founders and how they've dealt with it. So it's an interesting topic, and I'm sure it's needed. It will help a lot of people sort out this sort of thing.
Okay. All right. So I guess one other thing is, even in doing this, the confidence in the next generation is also key, right? It's important to know that you're handing over to somebody who can do the job, etc. So just curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in your kids to run the legacy you've built for the next 50 years?
First of all, what is important is the transition, how long, introducing, you to current customers, discussing possible plans going forward, seeing where we went wrong in the past, what we can do better, new visions, and sharing all those things. It's not. It wasn't instantaneous. It's not like handing over notes, and so it's a relationship building thing. Relationship on all levels. That means the staff, the current staff, relationship with customers, and even they are also changing their people. So you meet some, but at least what the Ghanaian term is what you are in the system. So people get used to working with you at different levels, different places. That the longer you can do it, the better. It makes it very smooth. For all the levels involved. Mm-hmm.
Has there been a time? I mean, maybe I should use the COVID period as an example, but has there been a time where you're like, maybe I should step in? Have you had such instances where you're like, oh, this is not going well?
No, it's not. It's not stepping in as in taking back, but rather to guide on two levels, by prayer and then physically making suggestions. But I found that the prayer works better. Yeah. So the backing that is needed is more to do with prayer. It's not your vision, because you don't know, the future. You don't know everything in the future. So you can only pray for guidance for the people that you are handing over to. Yes, they may take their, they may fault here and there, but that's how you grow. And you can't write notes about that. It's not by notes, no. The exposure, the relationships that you build will help you to make the right decisions.
Okay. So looking back on your journey, what advice would you give other founders and family business owners, right, to ensure successful and enduring legacy?
It's very difficult to give one sentence advice, because it depends whether that child is interested at all. And if the person is, because it takes passion to run a private business, I think. Yes, you need professionals and all that, but you must have a love for the work that you are doing, for the nature of business that you are into. And so that's the first thing to discover. You have to throw the person at it, and if he or she doesn't like it, you need to know early. I don't think there's a formula for it. The person likes it. Imagine running a garment factory or making clothes, and you want your child or your son or daughter to take over. You can't force
it.
Yeah. So they may shine somewhere else. Maybe they're not meant to be in your place. So it's better to know as early as possible so you don't frustrate each other.
Okay. So you would have been fine if we all said, we're not interested in this. You wouldn't have taken it personal.
One shouldn't take it personal. It is a very difficult situation to be in as a parent, and after many years, you are being told this. And if you know your business well and what it's worth, then of course you are saddened because you are going to have to give it to somebody or somebody else. However, with talking to professionals in this area, you find that they are still able to create structures that allow for the use of professionals to run your business, but the proceeds are then allocated between the professionals running the business and the family, so that there is some continuity.
Awesome. as we wrap up, right, I want to talk about family values. You know, you can't help it. Somehow I feel the family values influence the business, right? So, how do you think your family values have played a role in business?
Yeah. Um, Maybe we don't always realize what people see in us. And maybe that's what you are calling family values. It comes out of training, home training. It comes out of, yeah, it comes out of that. So people are attracted to you for what you stand for, including in the business arena, both the principals and customers. That when you are mentioned, they know what to expect. And it's an unwritten rule, I think, or that's how people operate. If you have a certain character, like you are driven by money, people know it. They know that's your brand.
Yeah.
And approach you on that basis. You can choose if you're developing your business is developed based on passion and interest. People respect that more than one who is about how much is in it for him, because you are likely to bend depending on who is paying what. But passion is a more genuine way, and it's a quality that is sought by even companies when they operate in a market. The trust is built around this. And whilst nobody may send you a letter with questions about your character or anything, they form an opinion on the way you relate to them, be it in the restaurant or wherever, how you behave, and whether you are driven by passion and principles of truth and honesty to them. Eventually, it shows, it pays out. And that's our, unwritten rule in our family business, because it's come from home training. And I think it's the best thing you can ever build your business or your life on.
So you believe you've really instilled that in your children. You believe that the values that you
Yes, so they are afraid to do certain things, even if they are offered.
Interesting.
No, it's a character building, and it's built in you. They said your heart. Yeah. So when you are given something or you are being offered something which is not in line with it, your heart will start beating.
Yes,
you get frightened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so just one. You have 3 children. You have 2 in the business. Would you like the third in there as well, or is it a risk management thing you're doing?
No, it's never come up. But the area that is definitely, I don't think she's fit for the mining.
She won't want to hear this.
No, I think one of the ventures that I established was the plantation, the coffee plantation, coffee and cocoa. I actually went because of coffee, not cocoa. But now we have coffee, cocoa, and rubber. But the coffee is of interest because of the value addition. Yeah, there are many things you can do with it, not just the raw material. And I think she's probably better fitted for that because of her sense. Yes, she's better suited for that. She must fit into that area.
So then, is it in your succession plan?
Yeah. Well, the succession, no, there's the business succession plan and the estate.
Yes, but we're talking business here because you have the plantation.
Yes.
And you've identified someone who can help with that. So what steps are you taking?
You know that the plantation structures are now being revised. We're going to be recruiting and all that. So,
It's in the plan. So it's in there somewhere.
Yes, in that process, we will see how we structure it for her to function in the area that she can.
Okay. 2 more questions. So, one of the things that is happening now is a lot of people go out and they never come back home, right? And I'm just curious. Did you ever wonder, like, were you worried that as your children are outside, they won't come back, especially since somehow you're expecting us to come help out? Did you worry about that? And if for others facing similar situations, what would the advice be?
Well, the one thing, from day one, I didn't want the idea of settling outside or just being outside. I thought it would be useful to come home anyway. Whether to work for me or not, it wasn't the issue. Thankfully, I mean, to encourage you to do that, I made sure about spending vacation home so you don't lose contact with your schoolmates in Ghana.
Strategy.
Well, you can then make the decision if you want, but at least you don't lose the contact, because I had found that people go abroad and maybe never come back. I know a couple of people like that who they had in mind that their children should come back to work, but they went very far from home and got married outside, and there's no attraction now. Their children don't know anybody here. They don't really want to come back. And well, at that age, by the time you find out this is happening, it brings a lot of sadness to, well, at least the couple of people who came to talk about it with me. So make sure that they come home as often as possible, I think is the watchword, so that they don't lose their contacts. It's not so much because of you, but if they maintain contact with their schoolmates, they are likely to come back eventually, yeah.
Final thing, can you please give our audience Next Gen's founders, the 2 sets, if you had to give them one key takeaway or one advice, what would it be?
Next Gens and
the founders, your classmates.
Well, the founders is easy. The founders should encourage to keep the relationships with your children all the time. They should come and visit as often as possible. These days it's easy to call, so you can call every day if you like. I mean, maintain that relationship. And for the Next Gens, I don't know, I think that they need to understand, if you're talking about the business environment or family business, Next Gens group in there, they need to understand the business, and they need to make an early decision where they fit in, or if they don't fit in at all, rather than hanging in there sort of for the money or for the conditions, only to check out.
That's a critical point.
At some awkward time. They are better off to declare their pathway and not disappoint themselves nor their parents.
Okay, you said more for the next gens, but it comes down to one thing. It's the same thing, communication, right? Do you
Okay.
think that as founders, maybe you should be more open and, talk more, talk to the children about the business, get them interested, all of that? You don't communicate. And no,
If
you,
you,
no, you, not.
no,
But I'm saying it's a problem with founders, right?
you see, it depends on the nature of the business. You are assuming that somebody sat down and had a dream and wrote out a business plan and this, that, and the other. But for the banks asking for most sole proprietorship when it starts, it's a man or a woman doing what he or she likes. You may be a seamstress, you may be a carpenter, and it just keeps rolling like that. So you can't have that perfect situation where it's written something which is going to tell you, share with you, and if a joinery business, you just see it going, and that's it. So, those who are close to you get to know. And if they have an interest, they come closer. And you fix them, into the business. That's it.
But
At least that's my view.
But as the business grows, things are changing, so you have to
Yes,
strategize
as
stuff.
it grows, yes, but you always need an interested individual to work with.
How would they be interested if they don't know what the business is even about?
But you can't say you don't know at all.
But how would you know? You have to come home and at dinner you talk about this. So, because what does Daddy do? Daddy is a banker. That's all you know. Daddy is this. But do you talk about the business, right?
Well, maybe once a year.
Well, but
No, seriously, people don't talk about it. If you think people don't talk about it, it will be because you need an audience. You need people who want to listen, who care. But if they are not interested, if they haven't approached you, sometimes you don't feel like talking about it.
So do you think this is one of the issues with family businesses? Because on your side, you're waiting for those who are interested to come and listen. On the other side, they don't even know what's going on to even think of coming to listen, so then this is one of the issues that needs to be addressed for family businesses, right? Thank you for bringing up and highlighting one of the key issues. So we are creating awareness on succession planning and stuff for founders. And then now this is one thing, highlighting or promoting communication, right?
Okay, it's your opinion.
All right. But no, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Tabi, for joining us on Family Business Diaries. I think you've really been open, quite transparent. So I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. And thank you for being a good boss as well.
All right.
Thank you, audience, for joining us on this episode of Family Business Diaries. We release new episodes monthly, and you can find the show on all podcast streaming platforms. Kindly subscribe to the Family Business Diaries YouTube channel and follow us on social media at Family Business Diaries for behind-the-scenes actions and updates. See you on our next episode.